What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode number 4 of Sideline Specialists. This week, we're talking about the Spencer Strider injury, the playoff picture for the NHL and the NBA, Jrue Holiday getting a fat extension. Maybe we'll predict some NBA awards. We don't know. And then, of course, we have our continuation of our NFL division previews. So we have the NFC South and the AFC South this week. And before we get into it, just to let everybody know, we are now on most podcast platforms as well. So you can get the video here on YouTube. You can get the audio on Spotify, Apple, all those good stuff. We will have links on the YouTube and, pretty much wherever you want to get the podcast. We'll have links to where you can subscribe to the other platforms. So make sure you check that out as well. We appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
So what's going on? That's a good feeling.
Not much. We got some fun coming up in sports here. This is gonna be spicy.
Oh yeah, baseball full swing.
You got NBA basically like one game left. Hockey's got like 3 max before playoffs. And I'll stand on this. The hockey playoffs are the most exciting by a mile.
Playoffs are great.
Because the fans, it's just like there's a volume meter in everybody, and they just turn it up to 11. It's just insanity.
I will be the first to say I'm not a huge hockey fan. I'll watch the Flyers here and there, but when I was living in Pittsburgh, my parents run this big volleyball tournament for girls club volleyball in Pittsburgh, and the city of Pittsburgh would give us tickets to stuff every now and again. And I got to see, in 2007, I got to see Ravens Steelers on Christmas Eve from a suite. And it was the infamous Bart Scott hit on Ben Roethlisberger that shook him to the core. And the Ravens won 34-7. And then we got to go to countless Pirates games. And the one time, the year right before I moved back to Philly, they gave us tickets to the Stanley Cup Game 2 between the Penguins and the Sharks. Wait, it was either Sharks or Thunder. I forget which one.
No, so I think they played Predators first, and then it was the Sharks the next year. Because they won 2 back-to-back against teams that hadn't been there in, ever or in a long time. So
right. Then it was probably the Sharks. I remember it was either Sharks or Thunder. That's what I remember. So whichever one of them was in the cup.
Got it.
But, yeah, obviously not a Penguins fan since I root for the Flyers. But I do have a San Jose Sharks hat because that hat is really fucking cool. I don't have it with me in here, but it's awesome. But either way, that place was fucking electric.
Oh yeah, I'll give credit to Penguins fans. They are diehard.
Oh, they are insane.
They're just not psychotic out of the arena like Philly.
Right.
When I visited UPitt, I literally was in Permane Brothers in downtown Pittsburgh wearing a Claude Giroux jersey, and no one even said shit. And I was like, "Where the fuck where's the energy?"
That's so. My biggest story for that is I was on campus wearing a Flacco jersey, and I always say the worst thing they ever said to me was the two quote unquote worst things they ever said to me was purple's a girl's color.
Oh my god, bro! Come on.
Which ooh, so scary.
It's
the other one was a guy that pulled up at a red light and just goes, "Hey, you're wearing the wrong jersey."
Dude, what?
I'm not, but okay.
So I did this as a whole gimmick because I knew it would be hilarious. So I bought a fake Crosby jersey, a just dirt cheap one. Mm-hmm. Cut it in the front and lightly stitched it so it would stay together.
Right.
And went to a Flyers game, Flyers Penguins, wearing that. And just got, the heckling was gold. It was exactly what I wanted. And then in the intermission, because it was just stitched, I just ripped it off and had Flyer shit underneath. The whole everybody in our section went nuts. But it's just if you were I just can't imagine. I'm in downtown Pittsburgh. Like, defend your city. Like, if you wore this down Broad Street, you would just get shit on.
Oh, for sure.
By
like
everyone.
Walking in Philly in a Cowboys jersey, good luck.
You're going to get pissed on and, like, thrown in a gutter.
Exactly.
Like, end of story. Some drunk dude's just going to decide that it's your time. You didn't think it was, but it is.
That drunk dude was like, I've been waiting for a sign, and this is it.
Every day he's just like, is today the day? Shit.
But yeah, no, I agree. They really don't. Their trash talking is on the lowest level of all.
Yeah, it's like, and I know Philly's nuts, but it's like you gotta just think of some shit that's memorable for the right reasons, not because it was so soft that you're like, yeah, that'll stick with me because that was weak.
Right. And it's not like we're telling people, to fight people or stab people or anything.
Yeah, just
be creative and good with your trash talk at least.
Yeah, creative banter, man. Come on. What are we doing?
Exactly. But, I mean, speaking of that, we might as well just start with, we have one hockey topic on the day, so we might as well start with that. So, the NHL Playoff Picture. So, a bit of drama going on with the NHL playoffs right now. There's still, we were talking about this right before we hit record, but there's a few teams in there, including the Flyers, in like a race to get the last couple spots. The West, I think, is pretty much decided, right?
At this point, let me just confirm in the standings. Yeah, West is completely locked in. Maybe seeds could potentially do like a little swap, but all the 8 teams are locked that are going to make it. So, like the Central, the Avalanche and the Jets have 104 points apiece, so they could swap seeds at these last 3 games. But Dallas would appear at the moment to have that pretty wrapped up, especially if they get 2 points out of their last 2 games, they'll have that completely clinched. And then you have the Pacific with Vancouver still leading, Edmonton 3 points behind them, and then the Kings in the 3rd spot. The Kings and Vegas they're 1 point apart with that like wild card spot, so they could obviously within these last 3 games, that's the only change that could really happen. Edmonton could get the 1. They could actually get the 1 seed in the Pacific Division. They have 4 games left. I think they're the only playoff team that has 4 games remaining. Okay. And they're 3 points back. So if Vancouver doesn't do their job and finish the season, these last 3 games strong, then obviously they could squander that, which they're one of the better stories in the league this year. They didn't make the playoffs last year. Their outlook this year was not really that much different, and they just kind of put things together. Mm-hmm. To go from literally not making the playoffs to first in your division is a big jump. But biggest game for them is literally today. They play Edmonton today. So if they beat Edmonton in regulation, then they've pretty much got that locked. But yeah, this is why hockey's fun, because like Vancouver's one of those teams that if they come into the playoffs hot and their goaltending, because they have Thatcher Demko back now, and he's like he could be a Vezina trophy finalist. If he's playing up to his level that he's played all year, they will be a tough team to get out of there.
Okay.
But they have had some teams that have just had their number this year, one of them being the Kings. Like, they've played 4 games against the Kings, they lost 3, and all 3 losses were by like 3 goals or more. So, like, that's one of those interesting ones that I'm going to pay attention to. But West outlook, if I have to I'm just going to throw predictions out there. I think the best playoff team in the West will be Colorado.
Okay.
They won a cup literally 2 years ago. They have most of the core that was a part of that. Lost a couple guys, but their talent level and their ability to play up in the playoffs is very apparent based on that run. Like, the spotlight does not make their knees weak. Dallas is an all-rounder. If I had to predict, if I have to pick a division that the Cup representative for the West is coming from, it'll be the Central, not the Pacific.
Okay.
Edmonton doesn't have the depth. The Kings have the most experience by a mile, but they'd have to just get inferno levels of hot to, I think, make the run all the way. The East is where things honestly, flip coins. Because, the Bruins are the Bruins, right?
Right.
We know what they bring. But then you look at last year and they got beat by the then 8-seed Panthers in the first round. And you kind of just shake your head. That's not what was supposed to happen at all. And then Florida, who was the 8th seed last year, is the 2 right now and could win that division if things play out the way they want. So you're like, okay, it's a lot more competitive as far as records, standings, everything. And then for the Metropolitan, the Flyers division, the Rangers and Carolina are far and away the best 2 teams. The gap is so massive. It goes the Rangers with 53 wins, Carolina with 51, and then the Islanders with 37. And the Islanders have lost 15 games in overtime or shootouts, which is why they have a lot of points. But it's just even looking at home and away records, because in hockey, home away is it means a lot. If you're at home, you're probably going to play a lot better. But then the really good teams, the records look similar. So the Rangers are 28-11 at home. They never lost in overtime at home. That's impressive. And then away, they're 25-12-4. So 12 losses, 11 losses. That's what you want, because every playoff series you're playing both places, so you got to be ready to do that.
Right.
But I think Pittsburgh could struggle with that because their away record is actually a losing record, and at the moment they would make it. But we'll see. If I had to pick a team from the East, I would actually probably pick Carolina.
Okay.
They've been rolling right now. They got their true number 1 starting goalie back about, I think, a month ago, Frederik Andersen. And he's been insane. His first 11 games back, he went 10-1, literally, just absolutely lights out, not letting goals in at all. I would be truly mortified to be the team that has to play them first round, because right. I think Carolina's just going to use that as their launch pad.
I do see that, out of all the teams in the East that have made it already, they have the best record out of the last 10 with 7-2-1 record.
Yep.
So the only 2 teams I see that may have a better one are the Islanders at 8-2, and then you could probably say the Penguins at 7-0-3.
That's the only reason the Penguins are here, is their last 10 games they've gotten a point in every game.
Right. Minimum.
So that they were way behind everybody and then have just been on a run. So they have to finish the run these last 3 games, but the way they're playing is that, you know what I mean, they should be able to do it. And obviously who they have leading that team, it's you have one of the top 5 players, in my opinion, ever. And I hate that he's a Penguin, but Crosby he's that guy. Big time games. He will give you the big time moments. But I mean, like this is why hockey's great, because like even if you look at the West, Nashville 2.5 months ago was like third to last in the West, and they went on a 20 game point streak where 20 games straight they got at least a point in the standings.
That's insane.
and it wasn't like, oh, they lost like every game in overtime. They were like 18-0-2 in 20 games.
Jesus.
Just like went berserk. Like it didn't matter who they played, they were going to win. It was ridiculous. And they're clinched now. Like but this is why I love hockey so much, because this shit just happens sometimes. And it makes for great like playoffs, because they're still like they're 5-4-1 in their last 10. But they're not like losing more now, you know what I mean? Like that's still a winning record as far as points out of the amount like available.
Right.
That's 11 points out of 20 available, which isn't like a great ratio, but even like this is the one that's great. Winnipeg, right? Their last 10, they're 5-4-1, but they have a 5-game winning streak. So what happened before that? Like you take those 5 out, they were 0-4-1 in the other 5. You're like, what happened? But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I think obviously we have these last few games where seeds are being fought for in the West, and then in the East, like spots are being fought for, which is awesome. And I think all the series will be pretty dope.
The last question I have for you is, I saw a report that said the Arizona Coyotes apparently are moving to Utah. Is Arizona like a big hockey
No. So like they had a stadium.
Right.
They actually had a real stadium, and it would get like 4,000 seats sold out of 20,000.
Oh jeez.
So this last year they were literally playing at Arizona State's hockey facility.
Oh wow.
Which is why when you watch their broadcast, it just doesn't look like it's actually NHL cameras.
Okay.
Because it's not. But yeah, like they've needed to move for a long, long time. So like the Winnipeg Jets exist again now. The original Winnipeg Jets moved to Arizona, and nobody was happy about it the moment it happened. And then obviously Atlanta failed. The Thrashers were a failure, so they gave Winnipeg their franchise back, and they've been basically sold out games for the last 13 years since that happened. Or 12, yeah, it was like 12 years. So I mean, literally.
I feel like any team in Canada should do pretty well.
Well, that's why everybody's still like Carolina is one of the lucky examples of a team, like a franchise moving out of Canada that worked.
Okay.
Because the Hurricanes used to be the Quebec Nordiques. Or the Hartford Whalers.
Okay.
I'm going to correct myself before somebody pops up. The Nordiques became the Avalanche in Colorado.
Okay.
And both of those worked. Like, to my surprise, because Carolina, you're like, it's not super hot, but it's not, like, cold weather. You expect hockey here all the time.
Right.
But Colorado, I look at, I'm like, yeah, you're literally in the mountains. Like, of course that's going to work. And it has. Their franchises have been awesome.
And it makes sense to go, if you're going from Arizona, to go to somewhere like a Utah.
Exactly.
It's going to be a lot colder year round than Arizona.
But even more on top of this, it's like if you're going to go and play in the same stadium the Jazz play in, it makes sense. Like like most hockey stadiums are those multi-purpose, like the Flyers one, where the hardwood is literally on top of the ice.
Yeah.
Like, and there's no reason they can't do that and succeed. Like, I mean, hell, they've had the Winter Olympics in Salt Lake, so like it's just exactly. That it fits. So I hope they do that, and I hope it succeeds, because I think that's a place there should have been a hockey team a long time ago. And then Gary Bettman, the commish of the NHL, cannot stop like wanting to expand, because apparently they're going to try and add two more teams.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm like, 32 is a really good number.
Yeah, I agree.
34 is a really weird number.
I feel like 30 to 32 is the sweet spot. That's like where a
Yeah.
lot of the professional leagues are at in
He's
the United
he's
States.
getting greedy. He's getting greedy.
Yeah. But like also, I guess, where else would you put two teams? Like another one in Canada and then maybe one in like Portland or something? Like
So the one
up there in the Pacific.
the Quebec has wanted a team back for a long time.
Okay.
So that's one of them is as projected. And then for some fucking reason, I think the other projected one is to bring a team back to Atlanta, even though that did not work. So, yeah, make it make sense. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be. I think there's definitely potential for upsets, or what the odds would say are upsets.
Right.
Like Toronto's going to make it again. Do I see them going anywhere? No. If the Islanders make it, I don't see them really, unless they go into it literally scorching, because that's how hockey is. Like if they keep that win streak going and then playoffs start, I don't want to play them.
Right.
But I think the team they're projected to play at the moment is Carolina. So it's like you could have like two teams that are on fire kind of headbutt, and then it just comes down to talent, and Carolina has way more talent.
I got you.
So, yeah, I'm pumped, but we will have to see how these last few games go to see what the matchups are first round, because that's kind of what'll tell the whole story.
For sure. So, with that being said, let's get into. We might as well get into the NBA playoffs. Just stick in the playoffs theme.
Yeah.
I can bring up the nice little playoff picture that NBA.com shares with their standings page.
Yeah, that's why it looks like I'm getting flashbanged, because I have that up too.
So if the playoffs started today, this is what it would look like for those watching on YouTube. For those listening, as of right now, the play-in teams for the East would be Bulls and Hawks playing off as 9-10, Sixers and Heat playing off as 7-8. On the West, you got Kings and Warriors at 9-10 and Suns and Lakers at 7-8. The West still has some movement to go with some of their seeds, their regular seeds. In the East, the Celtics are the number one seed by far. There isn't even another East team that has won 50 games, let alone 60 games, which is where the Celtics are at. Not just that, but the Celtics are the only team in the entire league to win 60 games this year. So easily the number one seed. There could be some movement in the number 2 through 6, which is where it gets interesting for the East. The Bucks, I believe, need to win their last game to stay in the 2 seed, because I do believe the Knicks could jump them.
Yep.
Given a win, I believe the tiebreaker right now goes to the Bucks. So if they both win, Bucks will get it. So Bucks in the 2 seed right now, Knicks in the 3. Cavs, I think I don't know who owns the tiebreaker between them and the Knicks. So if the Cavs win, Knicks lose, I'm not sure who jumps up to that 3 seed. But
I will investigate.
Okay. Just like earlier this week, the Magic were threatening to actually jump all the way up to the 3 seed. And now, after losing a couple, they're back down to 5. And that's the 5, 6, 7 is where it gets very interesting, because if we're assuming the Sixers win their final game against the Brooklyn Nets on Sunday, if the the Magic and the Pacers lose, the Sixers could jump from 7 all the way to 5. And then the Pacers would be 7, the Magic would be 6.
Okay. The Knicks only have the tiebreaker over Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
And Cleveland has none of the tiebreakers over Milwaukee, New York, or Orlando. So,
Okay,
like,
so
obviously...
that loss by Orlando last night was big for Cleveland then, because now they're 2 games up at least.
Yeah, that was real big for them. But yeah, I mean...
So, essentially, the Cavs are pretty much locked into 4, it seems. Because they're 2 games up on the Magic and Pacers and Sixers. And they don't have the tiebreaker over the Knicks or the Bucks, so the most they can do is tie with them if they win. So it seems like the Cavs are locked into 4 too.
Yeah, so, at this point, that's what it's looking like. Yeah, because I think this post was this was before last night's games.
Okay,
but obviously, like that, the Magic losing was huge for them.
Right.
So, like, yeah, this being before that means they're pretty much guaranteed the 4 seed now because everybody has 1 game left and they don't have a tiebreaker over anybody ahead of them.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much where they're at.
Cool. So it's like, the 1 seed's pretty much locked. 2 and 3 could switch depending on how they go. 4 is locked, and then 5, 6, 7 could all switch. Pretty sure the Heat are locked into the 8th seed.
Yeah, because like the 9 and 10 are complete. Like the Bulls and Hawks, like they locked in a few days ago, I think, like they can't move out of those. And then after the fact, like everybody has 1 game left. I think it's like we're playing the Heat in the play-in unless we win and other things happen. But I think, Miami is stuck in one of these 2. Yeah, like they're stuck in the spot.
Yeah,
because they don't have the tiebreaker over Orlando, do they?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I didn't think they would.
Yeah, I don't think they. If they do have a tiebreaker, I don't think they have it over really anybody other than maybe the Pacers, because I feel like they beat the Pacers a couple times, but.
I mean, that could that could make it interesting as far as like who hosts the play-in game.
Right.
But other than that, yeah, I think even with the records like where they're at with 1 game remaining, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, so the scenario for the Sixers to get all the way to 5 is if the Sixers win on Sunday against the Brooklyn Nets, the Magic lose to the Bucks, and the Pacers lose to the Hawks. They can get out of the play-in and into the 6th seed if the Magic lose and the Pacers win. And then they stay in 7 if the Magic and the Pacers both win.
Yep.
So that's their scenario to get out of there. It's definitely very possible to get up to the 6 because the Magic playing the Bucks want to stay in 2. I wouldn't imagine they want to drop to 3. And I mean, say the Bucks do lose to the Magic, and I guess then the Sixers wouldn't be able to get the 6th seed if the Magic win.
Well, if the Pacers and Magic win, then the Knicks would move up to the 2.
Right.
And the Bucks would drop to the 3. And the Bucks would end up then playing Indiana, which I don't think they want at all.
Yeah. I mean, if I was them, I'd rather... Well, so that's the thing. If I was the Bucks...
Well, you know what? I'll just say this real quick, and then, because I'm just going to use the bathroom after, and then you can do your exactly, like, if you're the Bucks right at this moment, you're not happy about any matchup.
No.
Like, because... If you stay the 2, you have to play the Heat or the Sixers, like at the current moment.
Right.
Neither one of those is good for you.
No.
Especially since Giannis is hurt a little, like his calf is not great.
Yep.
But then even if that doesn't happen and you like lose this game to the Magic and you drop to the 3, you have to play Indiana. Who I'm correct me if I'm wrong here, but does Indiana not hold a bunch of tiebreakers over them, like in head-to-heads?
I
feel like
I can check.
I feel like Indiana won more games against the Bucks than other way around.
They've played each other, I mean, quite a bit because they're in the same division. Yeah, the Pacers beat them in every game but one.
Yep.
The times they played off against
They beat them in the in-season tournament by 9. They beat them. They beat them by 2, 12, 9, 9. Like, the Pacers have had their number all year, and I would actually love to see the game that the Bucks won. Let's see what happened in that game. Oh, that was Giannis's 64-pointer. Got it.
That was also Halliburton. Oh no, he was playing. But Giannis had to drop 64.
Yep.
With a fully healthy team. They had Lillard was healthy, Middleton was healthy. Like, they had everybody available for that game too.
Yep.
And he took 32 free throw attempts.
Holy fucking. And you know where that game was played? Milwaukee.
Exactly.
You think that shit would happen? Yeah. You think that shit's going to happen in Indiana? No shot. And even that, too, it's like, if he scored 50, he could have had a 50-point game and they would have been tied.
Right.
Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, I just think of it like that. It's like, you could have had a dude with 50 and the game would have literally been completely tied. And that's just not something that makes, well, I mean, Doc Rivers he doesn't have emotions anymore. But for like a normal coach that's not a robot, you'd be like, oh, this is unsettling. Right. All right, I'll let you start your thing. I'm going to be back in a minute.
All right, sounds good.
Sweet.
But yeah, if I'm the Bucks, there's really no matchup that I would really prefer right now. Because if you stay the 2, you're playing either the Sixers or the Heat. The Sixers have Embiid back. Their team is mostly healthy now. The only 2 guys they were missing in their most recent game on Friday against the Magic were KJ Martin and Robert Covington. But Covington's been out for a long time, so they're most likely not going to have him. The Heat, I mean, you never want to play against playoff Jimmy. You just don't. You can kind of deny his playoff abilities all you want, and you can hate on Jimmy all you want, but it's the fact of the matter is playoff Jimmy is real. So as the Bucks, you really, I guess you could probably say the Pacers are your highest preference, because at least with the Pacers, they don't have the amount of experience that the Sixers and Heat have. The Pacers are a very young team, especially when you look at the Pacers and their starters are pretty young right now, especially after trading away like Buddy Hield and things like that. Their starters are all, other than Siakam and Miles Turner, the rest of their starters are under 25. So, and then out their number one backups, especially with Mathurin not available. You have TJ, who's a good leader off the bench, but you have Ben Shepherd, Doug McDermott, Obi Toppin, Jalen Smith, Jarris Walker, Isaiah Jackson. There are a lot of guys that don't have playoff experience. So that's the only reason I would give them to say that the Pacers could be a decent matchup. But either way, as the Bucks, it's kind of a lose-lose-lose. Especially if you're not healthy. But on the West side of things, the West is always where it gets interesting, because the Kings, Warriors, and Lakers before last night all had the same exact record at 45 and 36. The Lakers are now 1 game up. However, I believe that can all change a lot, because the Kings and the Warriors, one of them has a tiebreak over the Lakers. The Lakers have a tiebreak over like the other one. So it's all mixed up in how they can get into which seed for the play-in. So they've all clinched the play-in. They have no chance of actually skipping the play-in. But that 8, 9, 10 could all change.
Yeah.
Especially if we're going by conference record, the Kings have the best of the 3, then the Lakers, then the Warriors. However, say the Warriors win, Lakers lose, they have the same exact conference record after their last game. So that whole part is a shit show. The 1 through 5 are they're not locked into those exact seeds, but those 5 teams are all clinched in the top 5. The only playoff seed that can miss the play-in that isn't locked right now is the Pelicans and the Suns. So if the Pelicans lose on Sunday and the Suns win, the Suns, I believe, get the 6th seed, even though the Suns have the tiebreaker over the Pelicans.
And then they get gifted with either Minnesota, Denver, or OKC.
Right.
My Lord. Here's your present. Have fun. Oh.
And
actually, no. Can we have this workout where Oklahoma City hosts Phoenix? So that
would be hilarious.
Durant has to play in that building and get his ass yeeted out of the playoffs.
That would be hilarious.
I need it.
So right now, Oklahoma City has the tiebreaker over Minnesota and Denver. They're like right now in their current spots. That's how the tiebreakers play out. So it's OKC, Minnesota, then Denver. So obviously the last game for these 3 is going to mean a lot to see who wins, loses, so on and so forth. The Clippers and Mavericks are locked into that matchup already. We know we're getting Clippers Mavericks first round series. And that'll be like their 3rd rematch now in the playoff series.
Yep.
They're finally both healthy this time. So
I'm pumped.
That's going to be a very entertaining series. And honestly,
must see TV.
Exactly. And I'm really hoping that the West play-in stays like this because that's must see TV too.
Yeah, Kings Warriors rematch from last year. KD LeBron. Woo!
For the play-in. Loser then plays, De'Aaron Fox versus Steph Curry, Sabonis versus Draymond, that whole thing. They also, now that the Warriors are in San Francisco, those 2 cities are so close to each other that they can travel to either stadium. And
they will.
Exactly. And then the winner of that then has to play either KD or LeBron. Like, that whole play-in area is going to be amazing. So much better than the East. Because in the East, I'm like, all right, I don't give a fuck who wins about the Bulls and the Hawks. I'd rather see the Sixers and the Heat in the playoffs. Just don't even play that game.
Well, yeah, because you look at it, right? You look at the West play-in, and the records are all like the Sixers and Heat.
Right.
They're all in that region of like they've clearly had winning seasons, they've had solid seasons. And the East, it's like this every year, I feel like, where this is the only criticism for the play-in is because the East can't like do what the West does in terms of all the teams are participating actually felt like they deserved it. And it's one of those too. It's like I hope, like say the Sixers beat the Heat and just get the 7. Say it stayed the same. I would want the Heat to win the other one because they deserve it more, just based on that.
Hell yeah!
Like obviously, as a Sixers fan, I would want the better team to make it and play the Celtics because I need them tired. But
especially, I want to see Jimmy versus the Celtics again.
Dude, feed me that every year until Jimmy retires, please.
I need to see Jimmy and the Heat against the Celtics again. That, especially as an 8 seed versus a 1 seed. Oh my God! If Jimmy and the Heat win that series,
well, it's like not only are they the 1 seed of the East, they're the 1 seed of the entire NBA by 7 games. Like they have been the number 1 in the NBA all year.
Right.
So
and they're the number 1 in the East by 14 games. Yeah,
like it is a mile. Like it's just so to see them get bumped early would just for all of us who hate the city of Boston and all sports that they have.
Yes.
Would be just delightful.
It would be amazing. Especially with the roster that they have. The roster has no holes. Let's be honest.
At all.
It has no weaknesses other than if Tatum and Brown decide not to show up. Yeah.
Well, but that's what I mean. It's like in the offseason, they're like, or like when they moved on from Marcus Smart, you're like, all right, what do they do? Like when they made that, because you're like, okay, that's a huge loss, obviously, defensively at guard.
Right.
They go and get Jrue Holiday. And you're like, well, you just got the older version of Marcus Smart, the dude who was doing it before Marcus was.
Who's better on offense.
Yep. So you're like, that's great. And then they're like, we need some size because the Williams brother, like both Williams are gone. Kristaps Porzingis, who can also score better than both of them. You're like, what the literal... Yeah, like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Oh,
You're like,
by the way, coming off the bench is Al Horford.
Yeah, coming off the bench is Al Horford. Derek White is clearly evolving.
Yeah.
And you're like, can we please? And then you have the Peyton Pritchard, bro.
Oh, he's been getting a lot better.
Yeah, I'm like...
what's his name? Ugh. Sam Hauser has been playing very good backup minutes. They also brought in O'Shea Brissett, who can give you solid backup minutes. They traded for Xavier Tillman, who is another defensive center.
Yeah, and then you're like, the random trade deadline, let's just get Jaden Springer. We probably won't use him, but if we're like late in the game and they're playing small ball, like if they're playing against small ball, you just put him in to play defense.
Right.
Like he doesn't need more than 3 minutes a game, but you can give him 3 valuable minutes because he's a good defender. Like exactly. You don't want him like even the Sixers were finally adjusting to what his skill set was, and then obviously the Celtics saw that and were like, okay, we're just building the Infinity Gauntlet up here. Don't mind us.
Yep. And we'll use that little segue to say Jrue Holiday signed a really nice extension, by the way. He declined his $37.3 million player option for the next season, 24-25, and he signs a 4-year, $135 million contract extension. Now, people go back and forth about like whether like the money is right, but kind of the length of the contract, only because right now Jrue is already 33 years old. Now, I've been a humongous Jrue Holiday fan since he came into the league. Obviously, with the Sixers, had appeared in his very first All-Star game in his 4th season with the Sixers. And that's where you really could see like his true potential. Right there was like, he's got the two-way abilities, distributing abilities are there, shooting abilities there. And that wasn't even his best season. Like he averaged 17.7 points, 8 assists, 1.6 steals, 4.2 rebounds. And then when he was traded, after he was traded to the Pelicans in the 18-19 season, averaged 21.2 points, 7.7 rebound or assists, 5 rebounds, 1.6 steals. And was on what was crazy to me is only made the all defensive second team, even though he made the all defensive first team the season before. But then went on and in his 3 years in Milwaukee, made all defensive first team twice, second team once, and finished in the top 10 voting for defensive player of the year all 3 times. And that was his age 30, 31, and 32 seasons. So while I don't expect him to be on the same level of his Pelicans years, like throughout this whole 4-year contract, he's still going to be really fucking good. He's going to evolve back into that role player that is always annoying, that the Celtics and the Lakers seem to always get every year, and everyone hates it. So it's a great signing. Sure, it's a lot of money. Sure, they're going to have to pay Jason Tatum in a bit. Probably pay Jason Tatum like 300 something million with his super.
I know.
So my hope is just they get hamstrung by the salary cap, and then we get to say fuck the Celtics. So
and they're like, we're digging into the luxury tax. So you're like, exactly. Can we not? But that's the only thing that derails this Celtics roster.
Yeah,
is their inability to actually just financially retain it. Which is, it's coming, because you can't have all this cake and eat it all the time. But
I mean, especially when you look at the fact that like Jaylen Brown already got the NBA record contract extension. I mean, and it hasn't even kicked in yet, and he was making like the starting 5. Jrue Holiday this year, $36.8 million. Porzingis 36. Tatum 32.6, Jaylen Brown 31.8, Derek White 18.3. Then you get to like Al Horford, who's at 10, and then it gets to like the single-digit millions. With like Pritchard at 4, Cornette at 2, Springer 2, and it gets down like that. But then, like, if you look into just next year, if Holiday didn't sign that extension, he was about to get 39 mil. But
holy moly.
Yeah. Porzingis gets 29. Tatum gets 34. Jaylen Brown gets 49.7. Derek White moves up to 19.5, and Horford moves down 500,000, but like it's still 9.5 million. So
yeah, for his old ass.
Right. And
that's dude.
Mind you, next season, the like Cornette is not under contract. Svi isn't. Tillman isn't. Springer has a team option. O'Shea Brissett has a player option. And Drew Peterson, Queta, J.D. Davison, none of them are on the books. And they still are paying $199 million without those other contracts on there.
Holy yeah, now they're the doom is coming.
Oh yeah. In the year where Jason Tatum's Supermax is going to kick in, Jaylen Brown's already going to be making $57.6 million.
Jaylen Brown making 50. Oh, okay. Yeah. That just blows. The dude is never going to be like top like 25 in MVP voting.
No.
Ever. And he's making that like what are we doing?
Yeah.
That is insanity.
They're just throwing money around like it's nothing in the NBA. So
yeah, they don't give a fuck. Clearly, because that like I always think about that kind of thing. Like you see these teams, like yes, they're really good, right? We can acknowledge that.
Yep.
But they haven't won anything to make this feel worthwhile. Like it just and it blows my mind because you look at who is winning. Like Golden State is always they're always a threat because like they have guys who have they've done this so many times they will never crumble ever. And then you look at Denver and it's like they have Jokic and like and they did, you know what I mean? They did the job. So you're like it's crazy to me though cuz the NBA money does always seem insane.
Oh yeah.
Like when free agency happens and you see some of the contracts dudes sign and you're like, that dude's a bum. Like I remember the one that always burns in my head was Alan Crabb.
Oh God, yeah.
Do you remember that deal? It was like 4 years, 120 mil for Alan Crabb. And I was just like, there is no chance anybody, I think it was the Nets. Of course it was.
Of course it was.
Yeah, literally, like the kings of shit contracts. There's no way any of those guys retained their jobs within a week of that. They were like, as soon as it gets nuts. Like that's why I do appreciate the Sixers a little bit, right? Because like you look at Embiid, you're like, of course the dude's gonna get paid. He's won an MVP.
Yeah. And
then you look at Maxey and you like, of course this dude will get paid someday because look at him. Like, it's so obvious. Like, I had the NBA, like, stat page open, and it has like, everything. I was like, oh, this is nice.
Their stat page is definitely the best of all.
Oh, my God. It gives you so many extra things you wouldn't even think of, but, like, they mean something. Right. And Maxey was, like, second in passes per game. I'm like, he's a point guard. The number one's Jokic, of course, because he's a goddamn magician, but I look at that and I'm like, that is a great sign. Like you have a dude who is like he's always looking for the best play. And he's your point guard. Like that's perfect. But he can score if needed. We've seen that he had 3 50-point games. You're like, holy like what can't he do? And he's just like he's still young.
There are 3
but like this and then obviously by the time the Sixers are paying him, Harris will probably be gone.
Yeah. No, he will be. Harris, this is his last year on his contract, so.
Because yeah, and I guess that's how they were doing it. Like, they probably tried to trade him, but once they figured they couldn't, they're just like, all right, we'll just let the contract die.
Next year, there are only 2 players on the Sixers under contract right now.
Embiid and Maxey?
Embiid and Paul Reed.
And now, okay, so Maxey's extension is basically just something that'll happen.
Probably in the offseason, yeah.
Yeah, which, totally fine.
Because he's on a team option this year from his rookie deal.
Yep.
He's only making $4.3 million this year.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm... Like, the books for the Sixers are going to look a little spicier next year, but at the same time, it's like... some doors open for us more than close.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a good spot.
It's funny because, like, I told you how the Celtics books next year, even with those all like that handful of contracts not on the books, they were at 190 some million.
Yeah.
Next year, right now, the Sixers only have 59 million on the books.
Boom.
51 of it is Joel Embiid. 7.7 is B-Ball Paul. And obviously, they're going to re-sign Tyrese to whatever max they can give him. It'll probably be around like 35 to 37 million.
The news... Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the news I want is Buddy Hield and Kelly Oubre.
So, in my mind, I was thinking of the people that I want to see next season, and Kelly Oubre is definitely on there. I want to see Ricky Council.
Yeah. 100%. Oh my God.
Need to see him on the team next year.
What a revelation.
Buddy Hield, I only want on the team if it's a team-friendly deal because he has not been that great, and I need to see what he is like with Joel Embiid consistently healthy and on the floor because Embiid's not on the floor. Hield has been pretty garbage. Well,
and I think it was always going to kind of be that way too because we didn't have any like paint presence.
Right.
So it was just easier to know for the teams we're playing. It's either Maxey, Oubre, or Hield shooting. Yep. And you can just double him. And like he's not you can't like you can't play above your size as like his specialty, 3-point shooting. So it is one of those. I completely agree. Like we need to see the team fit with Embiid here because that's what'll make or break it. But if it looks good and the playoffs look good, then it's like, yeah, okay. I would love to see, like, if it works out, then it's like, definitely please bring him back because we've wanted him for forever. We finally get him, and then Embiid gets hurt.
I know.
Like, no.
But yeah, I'd love to see Batum back if he doesn't retire. Especially for like around like the same 10 to 11 million. That's fine. Covington, I would love to see, but he's never healthy. So at this point, I'm just like, it's not worth paying him unless it's like the minimum.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah, and then I definitely want D'Anthony Melton back. I love Melton.
I love Melton a lot.
So I'd love to have him back. And
you need a guard. You need a guard that can play defense.
Exactly.
You just do, and he's definitely like the guard that we have that you could put on somebody and feel confident. Yeah, I would miss Melton a lot. He's like the quiet. It's funny. Like you see him on the floor, and you never expect like fireworks on the offensive end ever, but then like get on the defensive end, and he can make some nifty shit go down.
Right, and his 3-point shooting has improved greatly, which I love. And like some people have asked me, well, why do I leave out Campaign when I talk about the players I want back? And I'm like, because you can find somebody that does what Campaign does on cheap contracts. Now, not saying he's a lot of money right now. Like he's only $2 million. Which if they can get him back for $2 million, sure, that's fine.
Yeah,
but again, you can get people that do what he does for that price somewhere else. If he starts demanding like $10 million, like don't need all that.
As soon as he says that, you're like, nah, we're good.
Exactly. But my last comparison for the Celtics contracts, mind you, next season, there are only 2 players on the books for the Denver Nuggets this year that are not on the books. And that's if everyone picks up their option, that are not on the books for next year. And that's DeAndre Jordan and Justin Holiday. They're the only 2 that aren't on the books for next year. And they still would pay a total of $190 million. versus the Celtics 199 million.
Very impressive.
So yeah, that's going to be their biggest issue is cap space. So with that being said, let's talk about Spencer Strider.
Yeah.
Officially ruled out for the season after getting his UCL repaired.
So,
and
this is his second elbow surgery.
For those watching on YouTube, I'm going to put up his stats up here on the screen. But yeah, go ahead.
So he had Tommy John in 2019 when he was still in college. So, oh man, it's tough to have the most positive outlook at this moment.
Right.
To be honest, because like yes, it's very impressive numbers having had a surgery that like severe in college. Full credit. I mean, to go 11-5, 20-5. But even the 20-5, like everybody's ERA was up last year, like everybody. So 3.86, you're like that's not even like good. Like Zach Wheeler's was like that, and he, you know what I mean, like Cy Young voting wise, I think he finished second. So it was like, it was a disastrous year to be a starter.
First year of the pitch clock, right? Which is what kind of fucked everything up.
Yeah. But then I look at it and it's like, okay, you pitched in 2 games this year, one very abbreviated, obviously, because that's where the injury occurred. It just sucks for baseball, though, because he's not alone in this. We talked about it last time, like Shane Bieber for the Guardians, another very, very consistent, good pitcher, out for the year with the same elbow kind of problems. And if this gets out of hand, it is going to be something MLB looks at, to be honest. Like, they'd have to go to a 20 or 25-second pitch clock to give pitchers' arms a chance to just, like, not have... I mean, it's just... You know what I mean? Like, you can't lose stars of the game.
Right.
Like, consistently. And at the moment, this year, it's like, we got some big names down. And then even, like... I know he's not a pitcher, but then to have like a guy like Bryce Harper last year have an elbow problem, you're like, you just want to see that kind of alleviated in baseball as a whole anyway.
For sure.
But for Strider, it's going to be tough because like one Tommy John is hard enough to come back from, and credit to him, he did. To then have your UCL reconstructed, like his pitching motion will probably not ever be the same. Mainly to protect that, but then at the same time, it's like to change a mechanic that like core to what he is, and then succeed at a high level still. Mm-hmm. Like if he can do it, unbelievably impressive. I hope he can, because it's like he's a young dude,
right? Like
to have a career derailed like early like this would be like honestly heartbreaking.
Yeah, especially after the last 2 seasons. Like, I mean,
he's been cooking.
Yeah, like last year he led the I think it was the NL in win-loss percentage, strikeouts, and strikeouts per 9 innings.
Yep. which is, I mean, and it's crazy because he led, yeah, because it's probably per a certain amount of like appearances or whatever. But his rookie year, he had a better strikeout per 9.
Yeah,
which is nuts. Because I think he set the rookie record actually.
That makes sense.
Like great pitcher on a really, really, really good team. Like this obviously shakes things up a bit, but then at the same time, I have to look at it and go like, okay, the Braves have made the playoffs twice with him, and he hasn't won a game yet in the playoffs. So it's like, if the Braves get there, they're still going to be horrifying. And like, truth be told, because Strider hasn't won a playoff game yet, you'd have, or like at least against the Phillies when it really mattered in those big time series, it's like,
I think his playoff stats are in here somewhere.
It's just it's tough. There's probably a like. Oh,
here we go.
Hello, yeah, he's 0-3.
Yep.
Because they had the bye both times, went right into the Phillies series.
He's only played the Phillies in the postseason.
Yeah, and he's allowed 5 home runs in 3 games, 7 walks, 9 earned. I mean, yeah, because that one game in 2022 in the Phillies World Series run, he literally just got nuked out of that stadium.
His strikeouts per 9 last year was 10.7, which is down from 13.5.
Yeah. Because the 2022 one you can't even look at it because he literally pitched two and a thirds innings.
Yeah.
Exactly. and then was just like, yeah, we gotta get him out of there.
Yeah, 19.29 ERA.
Yeah, you're like, oh, but I'm just hoping the rest of the year we can avoid these kind of injuries because he is a pitcher that he provided 20 wins for his team last year.
Exactly.
20. So it's you can't replace that unless your offense is truly otherworldly, and the Braves kind of have that. So we'll see what they do because they obviously need to call up somebody. I'm sure they have. Let me look at the Braves starting rotation now that he's out because
I'm very curious if they decide to make a move, make a trade or whatever it may be at that point.
Oh, I wouldn't be shocked at all. So Max Fried, Charlie Morton, Chris Sale, Reynaldo Lopez, and then it'll be Ian Anderson will get called up. And yeah, Anderson is just as young as Strider is. He's another young, just potentially talented. I need to see. Oh yeah. In Ian Anderson's career regular season, he's 22-13 with a 3.97 ERA. That is perfectly good.
Yeah.
Almost 1 strikeout per inning. So they're the Braves. They run a good ship. There's a reason they're always competitive.
For sure.
Always. And then the NL East is still the Phillies are good. The Braves are probably better.
Probably.
It just is that just is what it is. But obviously the head-to-head matchups in the past couple of years, the Phillies have done it where it matters. We'll see if that continues, but yeah.
The NL East is always a toss-up anyway. Of just who gets the wild card, who ends up because the NL East they beat each other all the time when they're not supposed to. And I mean, right now from the Braves to the Nationals, it's only a 3.5 game difference. Obviously, the Nationals aren't great. The Braves in just their first 12 games already have a plus 21 run differential. So.
Because they are literally baseball is a very, very, very tough sport to have batting that can outdo pitching, overall, and they have a team that can do that. They literally their lineup is so loaded.
I mean, we've seen it with the Phillies about their batting having to outdo their relief pitching. So
yeah, but I look at the Braves. It's okay, so Acuna didn't get on. Who's following him? You have Albies. You have. Olsen, God, their infield is just stupid.
Oh yeah,
it's so nuts. Let me look up. I just want to look up the Braves starting lineup. Maybe if they have a lineup card. Austin Riley is such a stud.
Yeah,
I hate Marcell Ozuna. Yeah, Marcell Ozuna hits nuclear bombs. That is what Marcell does.
True.
That guy is just good matchup today, actually. Just, the Braves are playing the Marlins.
Mm-hmm.
The Marlins, obviously, 2-12, really rough start. But they have their best pitcher going tonight, Max Meyer, versus Chris Sale.
That's a nice one.
So I may actually watch that.
Phillies Pirates series right now is pretty nice, too.
See, it's I'm bummed that I wasn't home early enough to watch the game. I know we lost yesterday, but they wore their new jerseys for the first time.
Yep.
I would have expected to lose that game.
Same.
Because I love Chris Sanchez, but I think the Phillies are in a position at this exact moment where they really need to sit back and go, okay, we should get another starter from somewhere. If not the farm system, we should get a starter, a real one. Right. And then Sanchez go to the bullpen. Because if you put Sanchez in the bullpen and he can come out and throw hard, his shit is nasty.
I agree.
Like, his changeup and his curveball move so much.
I love what Ranger Suarez has been doing so far this year, too.
Ranger is my fucking guy. I have fought for that guy. Well, because I went to the in last September, I went to the Phillies Pirates game. Ranger started. It was we were down 5-0, and because they just jumped on him in the first, and that's sometimes what just happens. Like, right. The pitcher's not warm, and they were. But the Phillies came back and won 8-5. Like, freaking what's his face? Garrett Stubbs hit his first home run of the year. It was September. But it tied the game. It was 5-2, and he hit a 3-run bomb, and I was like, let's fucking go. But like, tonight's matchup, we have Spencer Turnbull for the Phillies. He hasn't given up a run yet. Let's
hope.
And then it's Marco Gonzalez for the Pirates, who has a 2.45 ERA, so it's not like he's given up a lot either. Let's see, are there any... Okay, Stubbs is catching tonight. Anything different?
I want to shout out Brandon Marsh, who's had a great start to the season.
And he has the night off tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a lefty. That's why. Oh. It's a lefty. So, all right, I get that.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I was like, why? And then I looked up LHP. Got it.
Yeah, I see Posh is in left field tonight.
I do like Pache, but I need to see him and Rojas need to show me more.
Especially Rojas.
Rojas is killing me.
I mean, Castellanos hasn't been hitting shit either. But
no, but like,
at least he's proven things in the past.
Yeah, like Rojas, this is his chance to like prove he actually belongs in the majors.
Right.
Because he came up last year and was hot to start, and then the playoffs he couldn't hit a fucking thing, which is why we just 100% why we lost. And Craig Kimbrell being a fucking dumpster fire, but
I can't stand Kimbrell.
But like, yeah, I have optimism because usually in April I'm expecting us to be below 500 like the whole time. Right. So the fact that we're at 500, I'm like, okay, we can build off this into the rest of the season, and hopefully Castellanos can just like, you know what I mean, just adjust, like, because he's a good enough baseball player that if he will figure it out. It just needs to be sooner rather than later. And then JT so far has looked better until he got hit in the fucking neck.
Yeah, that was rough.
But he played I think he played yesterday, so 2 games in a row, so he's like obviously okay, but
yeah.
Jesus.
With that being said, let's move on to we'll start with the NFC South because
I'm in.
Got the jersey on.
Yep.
Especially can start with the Carolina Panthers. I will bring up, just for those watching, we will just give a little rundown of how the NFC South shook out last season.
Yeah.
So,
the records were not pretty, but here we are.
Yeah. Last year, Tampa Bay won that division. They were 9-8. Saints came in second at 9-8. Atlanta Falcons third at 7-10, and Carolina 2-15.
Here's the one, since we have that up there, the number one thing to look at is point differential.
Yes.
Gotta do it. So you get, and here's a killer thing for the Saints, right? Is you're sitting there looking at the point diff and you're going, we gave up basically just as much as like Tampa did. I think it was actually really tight. So yeah, Tampa gave up 377. So they gave up 50 more points. 325. It was a 2-point difference for points allowed, which is just like, that's tight. Then New Orleans, like, they scored 52 more points. So, or 54 more points. So you're like, how did you guys not win another game?
I know.
And it had to be really upsetting because you're like, clearly as an offense, you were a better team. And on defense, you were basically even. So you're like, okay.
And on top of that, their rating system, their offensive rating system, all ranked higher. And the strength of schedule was not as tough as Tampa Bay. However, they made sure to use that to their advantage. And this is kind of off topic, but I just want to say the Commanders are garbage. They had a worse scoring differential than the Panthers, and they gave up 102 more points.
Yep. They were.
Lord.
Washington is one of those teams that this year in free agency, there's people being like, oh, they might do stuff. They're not going to do shit. I don't care if they draft Drake May or Jaden Daniels. I don't care. They will not compete. But to look at just the NFC South, because I just pulled up NFL's standings from last year, which is literally basically what you just had, I think. It made sense, the records, to me. The Falcons were that team that were a bubble team. They had a chance to maybe do better because we know the weapons they have are great, but Desmond Ridder is ass. And I forget who else they put in, because I know they had another quarterback in there at some point, but it was just never going to... They had no chance to really take the division.
Right.
Without exceptional performances from Bijan, obviously Pitts, and then Drake London. But you have to be able to get them the ball. And then defensively, they're just not good yet. They're not horrific like some other teams. On the points allowed scale, they were still in the 300s, which is still very respectable.
Yeah.
But you have to remember that they're playing 6 games against these teams. So it's you're obviously not going to give up a lot to Carolina, because they just Bryce Young. Literally, I want him to succeed. It did not look good. Their offensive line is really, really bad. And weapons wise, they've given him more for this upcoming season, thankfully. But last year it was the Adam Thielen show, and that was it. So. We'll see. I think we'll see improvements from Carolina, but it's not one of those they're going to go from last to first. There's no way.
No, I agree.
So
they need too much. So
they do.
We can start with Carolina, just because.
Yeah. Obviously,
the nice Steve Smith senior jersey there that you got going on.
Yes, sir. I like some of their signings so far. I am their signings and moves. Definitely pluses.
Not bad.
And they haven't been quiet. I'm on the Our Lads depth chart, and anything teal is a new player to the team.
Right.
There's a lot of fucking teal.
Yeah, I'm looking at the same page.
But A'Shawn Robinson, great pickup. Obviously, that was the trade with the Giants for, I believe, Brian Burns. Right. But that's a good return. You move on from Burns because you know you're a rebuilding team. You really know that you're rebuilding. So it's you could accept Brian Burns as a longtime franchise player that you're going to have to pay a lot, or you can just decide, you know what, we are literally at ground zero overall.
Yep.
We're going to move people to places they could be better, get some stuff back. You sign Chason, you sign Jadeveon Clowney, so the D line is going to look a lot better. Which is good because they 15th as a rank for defense that you've, in my opinion, only improved. Starting on defense is never a bad thing, ever.
Nope.
And
you already got your quarterback.
Yeah, and you have a quarterback that you are absolutely willing to build around, which is why you traded for Deontay Johnson. Yep. All this makes sense, and you've signed 2 offensive linemen on the interior in Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt. Not saying they're superstars or anything, but you are showing Bryce Young that you are willing to give him a chance to succeed by building around him.
Yep, we have Robert Hunt right here was
that's really good
for PFF's free agency rank.
And that's the overall free agent rank, not by position, right?
Yep.
So for a guard to be 28th, he's a good guard. So I'll take, he's great. Lewis being 85 more fits what I would expect him coming from Seattle. Their offensive lines have never been stellar. But that's still top 100 out of all free agents, and you addressed severe positions of need.
Exactly.
Like, holy moly.
Definitely
I don't know.
The biggest loss outside of they traded Brian Burns.
Yeah, he needs to be moved to the moved on thing. Because that's,
Frankie Louvu was big for them. And he was ranked 35th off of the whole free agency rank. So, obviously, not great for their defense, losing him and Brian Burns. But at least, like you said, they know where they're at with this rebuild. There's a lot still to be done. So having just like two of those guys and not the other draft picks and stuff that come along with trading Brian Burns and others, it doesn't exactly help you in the long term.
Let me see Panthers draft picks 2024. I want to see exactly what they have because I'm very curious. They have 7 total, it looks like.
Yep.
According to this. Of course, I clicked accept cookies and it needs to refresh its bitch ass. Here we go. All right, so
it says 3 are in day 2 and 4 are in day 3.
So they have the first. All right, they have the first pick of day 2 and the 7th pick of day 2.
Okay.
So that's that. As far as like when you have a team that trades its first rounders to move up in a previous draft and get a quarterback, you don't expect the next year or two to look perfect, but having pick 33 and pick 39, you're happy with that. You're genuinely happy with that, and that is plenty of ammo in with other stuff maybe in the next draft that if you did really want a guy on day 1, you could go get him. If I'm the Panthers, though, I'm going to be honest. I think you get the best of what's available at those 2 picks, and you don't move up. I think you try to get multiple players in that building because early second rounders, you're going to find some guys. You just are,
for sure.
And I think if they're smart with this time around, that's what they have to do, and I think they will. But I think they instantly, if there's an O lineman there that they love, take him. And then the intelligent pick for me, let me see, Carolina. I think you're happy with. I think at the moment you're okay with your running back situation. Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders is a fine duo to build an O-line in front of and give them a chance to perform to the levels we know they can with good O-line. Obviously, Miles Sanders has had more time in the league to show what he's about.
Here, PFF has Hubbard as graded out as 16th of
running back. He is a beast.
Yeah.
To be clear, I mean, look at his size, 6'1", 210.
Yeah,
he is a very good running back from a school that plays in a very physical running back producing conference. So he's a great fit for them. They absolutely need to allow him the opportunity to grow in this offense. And he's only 21 years old. So I mean, he's he's got all the time in the world.
I think
or is he a little older than that?
24.
Oh, okay. That's even better, though, because he's not in his prime yet by, 3 or 4 years, as far as just, male athlete prime, but obviously running back's a little sketchy because they get banged up a lot, but...
Yeah, I mean, you
oh, my God. Hold on. Where is he?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I completely forgot Tariq Cohen was signed with them as, their kick returner. He's,
Oh, I did too, actually.
He's right above Miles Sanders on that list there.
Yeah, he hasn't been graded at all.
No, because I don't think he's done anything for a while.
I don't think
so. Which is unfortunate, because I actually really liked... Yeah, look at his grade in 2017, dude.
Yeah, 2020 was the last grade he got.
Yeah, because he had I'm pretty sure it was a horrific, knee injury.
I think it was, ACL, MCL, all of it.
Yeah, it was his entire knee decided to forget that it was a knee. It was It's just not good, but he's a guy I would
obviously,
love to see play again.
for sure.
He was
Obviously,
electric.
the biggest issue with Carolina now, Robert Hunt was added. He wasn't there the whole time.
But that's great to see that right there.
Exactly, especially when you see that and Chandler Zavala being dead last.
Ooh, well, here's another good one too. Taylor Moton down there.
Yep,
That's a good
a solid one.
And at tackle is massive. I don't know which side he is, but whatever blind side is for Bryce Young, like you need that. That's your number one position of need.
Yep,
Is
and I mean he's graded pretty well throughout his whole career.
that's excellent. And that's great for them too, because you need a vet, and he is a vet. He's only fucking 4 months old, like younger than me. Literally, yeah, he's a '94 kid. You're.
Oh yeah, he's literally 1 month younger than me.
There you go. So I'm looking at him like, okay, that's great that they have you on one of these tackle positions. You just addressed. Oh, okay. And Bryce Young is right-handed?
I think so.
So that's the strong side tackle. Or like the front. Like he will see him with his peripheral basically all snap. Like right off snap. So if he's right tackle, they need a left tackle.
Yeah.
Their current number one on their depth chart is Ike Ekwonu. Mm-hmm. Can you check his grade?
Yeah, he is. I just saw him. He was ranked like pretty much middle of pack, 40th of 81. He has a 67.4 overall grade.
He's only played 2 years. And he's only played 2 years because I'm seeing 2022 is his draft year.
Yep, right here.
And his grade went up, not by a ton, but it went up, which is that's a good sign.
Yep.
And now and here's another thing you have to do with grain of salt. If the guards were both horrible, then he has to take on way more of a workload. Same with the other guy. So now if the guards are better, he can focus on the edge dude completely. He doesn't, you know what I mean? And that will help everything overall. So I think we could see improvement. I'll just throw this out there now. Their defense is going to look good because they literally have 6 starters on the depth chart that they signed this year, and 2 second string. And then, they're clearly trying to bolster that, which is good. I love that. Who is the Panthers' defensive coordinator? Let's take a look. Jrue Holiday. What a name. He's 16 years of NFL coaching experience. So he's got staying power.
True.
So that's good. I do hope they make this work because Carolina being a good team is good for the NFL. And I think I'll say their win ceiling. I'll say ceiling this year is 6. I don't see them winning more than 6 games, but if they did it, I wouldn't be totally surprised.
Right.
That is, wow.
Yeah, for those listening and not seeing the video.
Oh.
Chandler Zavala's grades for his rookie season, and
all right. He was. Let's put it this way, right? He was a 4th round pick, and this was his rookie season.
Yeah.
So your expectations were not high to begin with, but they should not have been this low.
But also, you can see on the right hand side here, he played weeks 1 through 5, and then didn't play again until 11, 12, and then didn't play again after that.
So even the Panthers were like, "You're not good enough." And then the other guard must have gotten hurt, and he had to play again.
Yeah.
Oh, no. So
the other guards, it looks like that were in there that played enough to at least be graded were Damian Lewis, who got a 59.6 overall.
Here, do me a favor. I'm going to do it on my screen. Damian Lewis. Is that? Yes, it is. Okay, so there is a very famous actor with the exact same spelling of said name. Have you seen Band of Brothers?
Yes.
He is. That's the actor that plays Winners.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I know what you're talking about.
That's why when I was reading that name, I'm like, I know that name, but not for this.
Yeah, exactly.
Not for this, I don't.
The other guard was Cade Mays, who apparently got worse from his rookie season. So
that's at least it wasn't like a mega jump. And if he's say he was I don't know what guard he is, and I don't know what's their center graded. Let's actually check that before we do anything else.
Center. So Mays is apparently the backup center, but Austin Corbett was the center. Well, that's who's on the depth chart right now.
And he was a 40. Oh my.
9.
Oh, he went way down. Whoa. So no, but you know what? All this tells me, right, is literally like the guards were that bad.
Right. Well, because here it says he only played 3 weeks last season.
Oh, okay. So maybe injury. Yeah.
Let me look at their depth chart from last year.
I'm gonna go use the bathroom again because I drank so much coffee. It's a joke.
Oh yeah, no worries. Bradley Bozeman was their center from last year. He's a former Raven. So let's see. Do they have his grade on here? They might not because this is for this season, I guess. Let's find him. Bradley Bozeman. There we go. And can we get... Oh, he's on the Chargers now. So he was a 62.2. So he at least wasn't as bad as the other ones. These were his weekly grades with Carolina. Here we go. There's the season grades. All right. So this was their starting center from last year. All right, cool. So their starting center was actually Bradley Bozeman.
Okay.
Former Raven. I've just pulled up his season grades, and his best grade was 2021 with the Ravens. He had a 73.6 overall grade. But his pass blocking has kind of never been that good, except for that one season in Baltimore. And
that's honestly because Lamar can move.
Exactly. His 2 seasons in Carolina for 22 and 23, he was a 63.1 in 22 and then dropped to a 62.2 overall in 23, which is what you're seeing on the screen now. Yeah. And yeah, his pass blocking was horrendous with a 48.9 there.
Yeah, just overall as a unit, really, really not good. And then, even that, tied for, first allowed for sacks, horrible. That's, you do not allow 8 sacks in a year. Fuck that. And then on top of that, exactly. You're getting beat up the middle 8 fucking times, and that's just sacks. That's not even QB hits. I'd love to see that, because it's probably high as shit. And then penalties, to be tied 13th for penalties as a center. Are you false starting that much? And they're probably all holding, because he's getting beat.
They probably are.
That's just not acceptable. And it is tough. And obviously they've moved on from him because it says Chargers in the top right. So,
here we go. 8 sacks, 5 hits that weren't sacks.
So 13 total QB hits.
19 hurries.
Holy shit, dude. That's abysmal. Well, I mean, I think we've seen what we need to see from Carolina. They're a tough team to go too deep in because they're just they're either young or rebuilding at position groups, not even just at one spot. They're just gutting position groups. But then you go down to here, look at J.C. Horn, absolute deep green. Yeah, they have some guys that are actually genuine. Oh my, Derek Brown with the 90.1, son.
Yeah, they picked Duel. I mean, Davian Clowney.
Yep.
82.9.
Where's Jordan Fuller? He's a safety, so probably up a little bit. 66. He's had a 75 before, so I'll look at that because that's recent enough that you know what I mean?
Yeah. And he got better from the last season. The thing that gives him the biggest hit is his pass rush grade.
Yeah, but he's a safety, so I'm not even necessarily going to look at that too hard because that's not
honestly,
really
as a 6th round pick.
Yeah, and his run defense grade is where if that coverage grade needs a little work because safeties do need to cover a lot, but the run defense grade is really good for a safety.
And you can see where he lines up by position too. Like he's in the box a lot. He's been covering slot corners. He's been covering the slot,
which is a lot more difficult than people want to give credit to.
Exactly. So,
yeah, I think they've improved as a team in free agency. To be honest,
for sure, I think so too.
Which, good for them. Good on them. Because this was one of their best draft picks. J.C. Horn is a stud.
J.C. Horn is good.
You took a huge risk taking a corner at 8 because it is always a gamble. He has paid off 100%.
And this is why most of his snaps are out wide.
Yeah, and look at the
grade is an 83.
So between rookie year and sophomore year, he goes up 4, and then between 2022 and last year, 13. Yeah. Overall, he's just get better and better. He's an absolute stud. So I'm happy to see what they do. I think let's just go from bottom to top. So I guess we should do Atlanta.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right, let me get rid of the Carolina pages.
I'll bring up their player grades here.
See, this is a fun one for me because I'm this is a team that is going to take a leap, I think. For sure. You don't go from Desmond Ridder to Kirk Cousins and not excel. I think that's 7-10. I could see 11-6.
I could probably see it as long as Kirk is somewhat back to how he was with Minnesota from his Achilles injury, then I think they'll be fine. I mean, they have so many weapons. That's the thing.
That's what I mean. It's they are not lacking skill players.
Team should not have ever been 7-10 in the first place.
But you look at how bad the QB play was, and you're like, oh, right. I remember who came in. Desmond Ridder got benched for Taylor Heineke. There it is.
Yeah.
Which it's I don't hate Taylor, but no.
They should have Mariota.
Dude. Yeah, they should have never let him be the backup of Philadelphia. I didn't want him there. But I look at this, right? So the teal on this page is significantly less, but there is one position it is at a lot. And that would be you get Darnell Mooney, you get Rondale Moore from Arizona, and you get Ray McCloud. So just depth-wise, you have your 1, 2, and 3 now, clearly.
Yep.
Job done.
And that also helps their special teams because Ray
absolutely
was a return specialist for San Fran.
Yep. So you've done well there. You sign a backup tight end in Charlie Warner from San Fran again. Apparently, that's just a thing they're very happy with this year. And then defensively, you're kind of going you didn't do much, so maybe the draft, which I think all mock drafts have them projected taking an edge rusher.
Yeah.
So, but grades wise, Drake London, that's a fine grade. Tyler Allgeier, what a beast he is. Bijan's grade is only low, honestly, because they did not use that man enough.
No. To
be honest,
not at all.
And then Kirk Cousins his grades have been good for a while, I feel like.
And I will say Algier is definitely a much better pass blocker than
Bijan. Oh, yeah. Well, because he's just a fucking tank.
Yeah, 5'11", 220. The man is...
Yeah, his grade is a 90 because you cannot push him out of the way or push him over.
He's a bowling ball.
Yeah. And it's funny, too, because he's the same height as Bijan, but his weight is just distributed so differently.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, you got two very good running backs. You have a tight end that everyone heralded as the next best tight end ever.
And he hasn't had a good quarterback yet. No, he hasn't had a good quarterback yet.
Exactly. Like, he hasn't had anyone to throw him the ball. You have Drake London, who we all can see is a very, very good wide receiver.
He's 6'4" at wideout, and he's not slow. Like, it's just
He was
this team.
great at 78.9 while having to deal with Taylor Heineke and Desmond Ridder as his quarterbacks.
Yeah, but I look at remember what we talked about with the Ravens, how you wanted them to build out their like wide receiver room.
Right.
This is what they just did. You have 6'4", 213 contested catch monster. You have 5'11", 173 Darnell Mooney, who also has had quarterback problems. So, like, I look at their grades with him and Rondale Moore. Their grades are coming with heaps of grains of salt. Period. Like,
and Rondale Moore's the absolute burner.
Yeah, 5'7", 180. So even when you hit him, he's not actually easy to bring down because that's a lot of weight on that frame. Like, and he is, like, he's strong, good in his route. Like, these guys have had high grades because they're not bad.
Yeah, that's the one thing about Darnell Mooney that I want to point out is after his sophomore season, a lot of people thought Darnell Mooney was going to be a very good wide receiver, and he has that ability.
Absolutely.
Ran into Justin Fields.
Yeah, and not even Justin Fields. I'll just say the Bears organization. Like, they are just inept, and I feel bad for whatever quarterback, Caleb Williams, they take first overall. Because it's just not going to work out. It just isn't. Right. Sorry. But can you do Rondale Moore's too? I want to see, because I know he's had some solid years. I know he has.
Rondale Moore. His season was his best, for sure.
Yeah. And that was when... Was that Kyler's rookie year? Was 2021 Kyler's rookie season?
I want to say it was his sophomore season.
Yeah, that would make more sense. Let me see. I'm actually going to do Arizona Cardinals 2021 roster and see exactly what they were working with that year. Let's take a look. Okay, so, yep, it was Kyler's year 2. 24 touchdowns, 10 picks. That's not bad. But this, you got to remember this too. They still had AJ Green, DeAndre Hopkins, and Christian Kirk.
Yes.
Ahead of Rondale. So it was like, obviously his workload would have been much less.
For sure.
Let me see if I can find Rondale Moore.
The deep threat and like the gadget plays.
Yeah.
Like, that's all they needed him to do.
And his stats that year were... He played in 14 games. He started 7 of them. Got targeted 64 times. Caught 54 of them. Had 1 touchdown. He's only ever had 1 touchdown in a season. But it's Arizona.
Yeah.
And Kyler's been hurt. So, like, his grades being down for the 2 years after that is Kyler missing a lot of games.
Right.
Because Kyler was better than everybody else that was playing there. So.
Yeah, he had Clayton Tune.
Oh my God, bro! Nobody named Tune has ever done well in the NFL. Like, get him out.
But I just want to say, Rondale Moore's pro day 40-yard dash time is 4.29.
This is what I mean with this team. They have potential, man.
Exactly.
They wanted a quarterback. They got one, and they don't need to figure out what they're getting. We know what Kirk Cousins is when he's playing his best.
Exactly.
So this is good.
The thing is, like, the offense isn't my worry. Like, I mean, look.
Oh,
Lindstrom,
yeah. Look at the center.
First.
Look at the center. Third. Like, they have Jake Matthews, career good player. McGarry, career good player.
5. Jake Matthews, 71.2. Like, you got guys that can block.
Oh, and even better, right? I think I'm seeing this right. The Charlie Werner, 77.3. I think that's run block, is it not?
Yep. Yes, it is.
So you have a tight end now that can run block too.
Yep.
Like,
exactly.
Oh boy.
And then, so obviously the biggest question for Atlanta is going to be the defense, and that's something we already know. Jesse Bates, great season. AJ Terrell, great season.
I'm still pissed at Jesse Bates not being on the Bengals anymore, but
true.
Here we are.
D. Alford. I like him too.
How about the bottom?
Like
David
Ellis,
David Onyemata with the 83.3.
Yes.
Beast.
Troy Anderson is good. He just got hurt and was out for most of the season, but he's been improving every year. And Nate Landman came in as his second year and really filled in for Troy Anderson since he's been hurt.
Look at that run defense grade. Look at that run defense.
Exactly.
Oh my lord! Like that is, but this is the kind of thing you want. You need linebackers that complement each other. So you clearly have your run stuffer. So to just relate it to, yeah. So related to your Ravens. Here's your Roquan, kind of the all-rounder, not obviously the level, but then you have Patrick Queen over and the other guy as your run-stuffing just beast in the middle. Like, you need a duo. You need guys that have synergy on the field. They're building something good here.
And yeah, look at Onyemata's grades. I mean, from his sophomore season, 71, 79, down year in 2019, 88 in 2020, 81 in 21, 64 another down year, and then an 83 again. Like,
yeah. And 22, I think, was like Dan Quinn left, so the defensive scheme and everything was in shambles. So it made sense that they were all going to be bad, because I think that season for the Falcons, they were just like a disaster anyway. But,
and you still
because Matt Ryan retired the year before that, I think, too. So it was literally like the Falcons were just awful.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Grady Jarrett can still give you some snaps here and there. He's on the side. But
look at his 18 and 19, bro.
Yeah. Insane.
Holy moly.
And I just want to say the Falcons have been pretty decent with their drafting because, I mean, I don't know if they drafted Grady Jarrett.
They did.
Okay.
They did, yeah.
Round. And we were just talking about, I think it was Caden Ellis. 7th round.
Yep.
From Idaho.
The Idaho Vandals. What a good team name.
And Nate Landman was undrafted.
Yeah, this is what I mean with the Falcons, is they actually genuinely know how to assess talent. It is the coaching and the way that the talent is used. Like, defensively, they can compete. But then you look at, like, offensively, if they don't have a quarterback, none of this shit matters that they have, like, players at the skill positions.
Right.
Like, but they're clearly finally addressing that. They're just like, we're going to just get Kirk Cousins. I don't care he's 35.6 years old because decimals are funny. Like, why not give these skill players a chance with somebody who knows what the fuck he's doing?
They don't even know Charlie Warner's age.
He's a ghost.
His age is made up.
Let's hold on. Let me check and see if our lads knows.
Let's also.
He is 26.
Oh, okay. So he's got plenty of time. And
3 day 2 picks.
That they have 8 total picks.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of cap space.
No, but
which is interesting
on their picks.
Yeah.
So
they'll be alright.
Yeah. With that being said, let's move on. Let's do the Saints.
Nolans.
We might have to move a little bit quicker because
that's fine.
Here, so, but yeah, the Saints, as we were saying before, second in the division. They really had a lot of comparable stats to the Bucs that ended up winning the division, but obviously still a good bit of things they need to address.
Yep. All right. So Michael Thomas is no more. The saga is finally over for them.
Finally.
But I mean, I'll just do the biggest ones. They're taking a big risk by having Nathan Peterman on the roster at third string QB. That could be that's a cancer. Get him out. But they go crazy at wide receiver. None of them are like major big signings, but they don't need them because they have Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. Right. But you bring in Cedric Wilson from Miami to be your trio. You bring in Equanimeous St. Brown, Amon-Ra's little brother, or older. I mean, they're one of the two. But
I forget, yeah.
You have some balance at receiver now. If people get hurt, if one guy gets hurt, you at least, as long as it's not Olave. if Olave stays healthy, you have a potential for a good year. Running back, we know what they have. It's Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams. It's good duo. And then defensively, though, their biggest signing of the whole fucking offseason by far is Chase Young. So
yes,
you bring in Chase Young, you bring in Willie Gay from Kansas City at linebacker. Like those are solid signings. And I know Willie Gay's rank is not like insanely high, but I mean, you look at the teams he's played with.
Yep.
Experience-wise, as a 26-year-old, like
he's a great supporting member.
Huge.
He's not gonna be your star guy, but a great supporting member.
He'll start alongside Demario Davis and Pete Werner when they run like 3 linebacker sets.
Oh yeah.
And then obviously it's just going to be a rotation for like what they want based on how the game is actually going. Because Demario Davis is a fucking monster.
Yeah.
He is so good. It's like I mean, he's third. I'd imagine in front of him is Fred Warner, and I don't even know. I don't.
Maybe Roquan.
Yeah, and that's it. Those are the 2 guys ahead of you. Like, are you serious? And you were an Arkansas State Red Wolf taken in the 3rd round.
Yep.
Beast.
I mean, look at that 2019. He was ranked 1st.
This man is 35. And he just put up an 89.6 overall. Monster. Like, he's insane. All he's done as he ages is get better. It's ridiculous.
He was graded 4th out of 77 linebackers for a coverage grade.
Yeah, this guy is legit, like, the all-rounder. He's such a good player. The Saints, can you pull up the thing that says their draft picks?
Yeah, they have 9, I believe I saw.
Because oh wow, they're loaded on the back end. Okay.
Yeah, 7-day threes.
Okay, so I look at the Saints as a team that was just tied for first. I think we'll get to Tampa. I think Tampa, we could potentially see them go backwards.
True. I mean,
but
they're getting older and older, so
that's the problem. It's like the Saints at their key like talent positions. Obviously, Kamara is not a young dude anymore, but he's still really, yeah, they're still good. Derek Carr's not a baby anymore, but as a white pocket passer, that's never been like a runner. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, now we kind of expect to see, and his grade was fine. Derek Carr had a fine season, some injury issues obviously in there, but
right.
The Saints could go 10-7, 11-6. There's potential for that. I think the Falcons' big leap this year, though, is going to be the thing to watch because obviously, like, the Falcons should be the team to beat in that division right now.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
But the Saints, I could easily see them being the team competing for that number 1 spot.
The Saints still have some question marks too. Like, can like their tight end sets with like Taysom Hill, like what's going on with that? Jawan Johnson was decent. Foster Moreau wasn't anything to write home about. The running backs are getting older, so hopefully Kendre Miller steps up. See what he is like. Chris Olave, obviously a beast. Rashid Shaheed proved to be a very nice deep threat for them. So like he's been solid. A.T. Perry got some snaps here and there, but like he hasn't really been unlocked, and I think he could be solid as a third receiver. Cedric Wilson has always had some decent games here and there. So like they do have some pieces, and I think as long as they invest a little bit more into the offensive line, I think they'll be fine. Because like obviously you have some solid pieces in like Eric McCoy, looks like Ryan Ramczyk, and then but the ones that kind of on the lacking side, Tommy Kramer, Cesar Ruiz as the guard at 51.2 grade while playing over 1,000 snaps. Not great.
Yeah. And even
53.6. So like
looking at most mock drafts, they do have the Saints taking a tackle first round. Like it's just
makes sense.
It's clear for them, like that's what's needed. And then, this one actually, I like this little thing. NFL did one. It's like the ideal first 2 picks for every team.
Mm-hmm.
Has them taking Keon Coleman from Florida State in the 2nd. at wide receiver to just like really make that room competitive. I could see that.
Yeah.
Especially given like you just saw Atlanta give all the weapons a quarterback. So you're gonna have to keep up with what they're gonna be able to like put up on the scoreboard.
Yep.
So that makes sense.
So with that being said, let's go to the first place, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, like we said, getting older. They have essentially no cap space.
Yeah.
They literally have $488,000 of cap space, according to overthecap.com. Which is, I mean, on here this says 2.54 million, but that's second to last in the league. They have 7 picks, 1 in day 1, 3 day 2, 3 day 3. There was a lot of like threatened movement from their free agents, and then most of them stayed.
Yeah.
So, which is big for them. Like Mike Evans, Baker, Winfield, those guys.
Winfield was the huge one. Because, exactly. I mean, you see that rank 8, like...
Right. And he's only 25.
He was a massive Pro Bowl snub. Like, if he had gone, like, obviously losing Devin White to a team that you know is going to be there come, like, playoff time in the Eagles, it's like, that's tough. You don't ever want that. But, I mean, I'm looking at their, like, additions / re-signed. It's like, rank 45, rank 87, rank 8, rank 13, rank 40. Like, these were good players, and they're staying.
Yep.
It's a big deal. But, again, none of these dudes are young and sprightly. Like, Levante David's got 2 years left.
If that.
You know what I mean? Like, he's at the most physical defensive position in inside linebacker at 34 years of age.
Right.
It's going to be tough, but, I mean, like, we know what the Bucs are, right?
Yeah.
You have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Trey Palmer as your like, that's your trio that's going to be in your 3 wide receiver sets. Cade Otton turned out to actually be pretty good at tight end as a young player. Like, obviously could be better at tight end. Like, they don't have a guy clearly, but you can make that work. Because like Mike Evans, Godwin, their grades being super in the green. Laughing at Kyle Trask having an 86 grade up there. That's really amusing, actually.
Well, on 3 snaps, so.
Yeah, exactly. I know, but it's just like, those are some damn good 3 snaps right there, bro. Running back, Rachaad White is like okay. Like average to okay. Like they could absolutely afford to upgrade that because his backup on the depth chart is Chase Edmonds. It's like neither of these guys really give you like huge plays.
Right.
They're not game breakers. They're not a guy that as soon as the ball touches their hand, they can just do something special. That's not their thing. But you need, like, there's a reason the Eagles just spent that much money on Saquon Barkley. Like, it's something that is clearly being valued more. And then you look at how the Niners do.
Rachaad White just looked a little bit better than he really was because he was getting a lot of touches, like, in the red zone and stuff, too.
Exactly.
So, they're another team that just needs to invest a little bit more in the offensive line.
Yeah, they're good on the right.
Yeah, like Tristan Wirfs is amazing.
And then you're really, really not great on the left.
Or the center.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh no.
So invest a little bit in that, and yours won't be that bad. The defense, again, not that bad. We talked about Antoine Winfield, ranked first of 95 safeties.
Yep. And didn't make the Pro Bowl, by the way.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
Ridiculous.
Hey, let's send Buda Baker. No. How about you don't?
Exactly. 91.5 run D, 92.7 pass rush, 84 coverage. That's just insane.
Beast.
Yeah. Jamel Dean was another guy that played very well for them. Christian Izine also very well for them. Tavier Thomas. And these are all guys that are playing like 352, 824, 780 snaps.
Yeah, they're on the field.
Exactly. The only one that was lacking is Zion McCollum at 870 snaps, but that mostly comes from his coverage grade, which 46.3.
But as a CB, your coverage grade should be your best, probably.
Exactly.
To be honest, but all right. So let's go down to the D line. You have Vita Vea, and nothing else.
I am a big Cansey guy. He was hurt for a lot of the season. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. He was hurt for like 5-6 weeks.
Oh, I see why you're a big. I see a certain college listed there.
So Cansey has like a lot of the same height, weight, build, work ethic, and actually did a lot of offseason work with Aaron Donald. So that's why he was hyped as much as he was. I mean, he's a 4'6'7" for 281-pound dude.
So he's a guy that we could absolutely see a big step up from.
Yes. Okay. And I'm expecting a big step. It was his rookie year. He was like in and out of different lineups for them. So I'm just curious to see what he looks like next year after a professional year under his belt. And I mean, when you see here, the biggest downfall was his run defense, which obviously from an inside D lineman isn't the best. But pass rush, 68.9. The only one better than him was Vea. Coverage grade, 64. Again, only one better than him was Vea. So he has the potential, however, just a rough rookie season. So curious to see how he bounces back from that.
Agreed. All right. So, I mean, we're predicting Atlanta wins the division, followed by either the Saints or Buccaneers, clearly.
I see them tying again, to be honest.
So could I. And then, obviously, Carolina still living at the bottom because they just have too much work to do.
Exactly.
Okay. The first
in the AFC.
The first team I had open was the Colts. I don't know.
That's fine.
And they're the easiest because they didn't do shit. So
yeah, exactly. They signed Joe Flacco.
I know, and I'm like, cool, because Gardner Minshew leaves the backup. We bring in Joe Flacco, and all right, I guess we're just done.
And then we're running it back
because it went so well last year. I think the main thing to look at, they have cap, they have a day 1 and 2 day 2 picks.
We signed Pittman.
Yeah. But outside of that, those top 3 right there with the Grover Stewart, Kenny Moore, and Michael Pittman, good re-signings. Yep. The other ones, you're kind of like, all right, I guess, because you didn't want to go and get new people, you're just going to be happy to stick with these guys who clearly were not exceptional. Right. You lose Zach Moss at running back, which leaves you with Jonathan Taylor and then some guys. Because I don't know who Evan Hull is. I don't know who Tyler Goodson is. I know who Trey Sermon is, but he's 4th.
So I know Evan Hull just because I did some research on him when he was drafted for my one of my dynasty fantasy football leagues. And
got it.
Hull seems to have a decent bit of promise. He ran a 4.5 40. And
the dude is 5'10", 209.
Yeah.
That's a unit right there. That is a thick fucking guy.
Especially to run a 4.5, it's like, okay, all right. Especially because you look at Josh Downs, who also ran a 4.5. He's 5'9", 171.
Yeah, well,
and
I was going to say...
is only 1 inch taller.
He's got 38 pounds on him, dude. Holy... Woo! That's yeah, no, I could see him having some success.
Yeah, he
100%
last year. That's the big thing.
Yeah, but I could see him literally that duo of him and Taylor. I could see that being solid based just on his physique alone. It's like there's potential in that alone.
Right.
Period, to be that height with that weight. Look at Jonathan Taylor. They're the same fucking height, and he's got an extra 17 pounds on him, which is why Taylor, when healthy, is insane.
Yeah. Last year was technically a down year for Taylor, and he graded out as a 74.9. So.
Yeah. Like they got some potential, but we've talked about them in previous podcasts about it's literally Anthony Richardson.
Yes.
Like, we will not know what this team is until we see that man playing consistently. Because we get to O-line, there's a lot of green.
A lot of green, especially center, 2 tackles.
Yeah, like both your tackles were top 10. You have Quentin Nelson is a fucking. This is his worst year, and he's insane.
Yeah.
Like, Quentin Nelson is usually regarded as one of the best guards in football. Obviously, he's had a few in a row that are a little rough, but he is a damn good guard. So, but like defense, they literally signed one guy, and he's a backup.
Yeah, and their defense was okay, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Very good.
There's nothing like jumping off the page, because even like okay, you got Ebukam, DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, Kwity Paye, and then Tyquan Lewis all played significant like snaps.
And to be honest, Zaire Franklin has not been like after that 2021 season. I know he's a 7th round selection, so like he's not exactly expected to be like some kind of superstar. But after that 2020 season, it seemed like a lot of the Colts personnel and just a lot of people in general expected him to become like their guy, especially when they let go of what's his name that the Eagles signed this year at the end of the year. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he was there.
Shaq Leonard.
Was it Shaq Leonard?
Well, he was from. I think he was there.
Yeah, he used to be one of their big linebackers.
Yeah. Well, Shaquille Leonard played.
Yeah.
For them before us. Yeah.
Yeah. Because a lot of people thought they were going to keep Shaq Leonard because his years in Indianapolis were pretty solid.
Yeah.
And then once they let him go, it was just kind of like, okay, so I guess we're pivoting to Zaire Franklin as the guy. And the last 2 seasons, he has not done well. So now it's kind of like, where are we going from here? Especially with the linebacker room. Because Blackman was solid as a safety. Nick Cross in the snaps that he got was solid.
Julian Blackman is a good player.
Exactly. Your CDs, I mean...
Yeah, Kenny Moore.
Kenny Moore is like the guy, and then the rest are all okay.
And it's even more impressive for Kenny Moore because he clearly had the most snaps by like a significant margin as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
and he's 30 years old already.
From Valdosta State.
Exactly. Like
he's out here. But the Colts are kind of an easy one because it literally is just like we need to see Anthony Richardson play football.
Yeah.
And then we'll know what they are. But
the rest of the teams in this division, well, I shouldn't say the rest. Houston and Jacksonville got a little bit. Well, Houston got a lot better. Jacksonville sort of stayed the same, and they're still like on the upper half of this division. And then Tennessee is the only other one that's like, I don't fucking know. So
I like what Jacksonville's done. You bring in Gabe Davis. You're happy to let Calvin Ridley go, honestly, for the money he was asking for. Like easy, just go. Because your 1, 2, 3 at the moment is Gabe Davis, Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, and then you have Devin Duvernay. They brought him in as well. So he can do your returns. He can be on some weird plays. Totally fine. You bring in Mitch Morse at center, what was Morse, what was his rating? Because he's probably,
It was all right.
Wow. Okay, their O-line needs fucking...
Yeah, that's their biggest thing, for sure, is their O-line.
My lord.
That's the thing. You give somebody like Trevor Lawrence a little more time, and you probably have a really nice offense. Like,
agreed.
And Kirk are solid. Zay Jones was hurt a lot last season, so he was in and out. Christian Kirk ended up getting hurt like halfway through the season, I think it was. And then, you bring in Gabe Davis, who will be, he can be a threat. Parker Washington showed a couple actually decent games at the end of last year, too. You still have Travis Etienne, who still really fucking solid. Tank Bigsby, the jury's still out on him. We don't know what he's really going to look like. But you also still have Evan Ingram, who has turned into one of the top tight ends in the league.
He's
After some
yeah,
crazy shit shows in New York.
yeah. Well, shocker, fucking shocker. Like, but and then like they have Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. Like, he just is. So they have the potential to succeed with the weapons they have and him running the show, but like they could obviously add to it and give him protection. It's their number one thing.
Yeah. Two centers that they had. Mitch Morse was 20th of 36 with a 63 grade, which isn't completely awful. But the other one, Luke Fortner, 35th out of 36 with a 44 grade.
Yeah. He's got to go.
Especially Anton Harrison played 1,100 snaps, 53 grade at tackle. Given he was a rookie, he was their first round selection last year, which is a little worrisome, but it was his rookie year. I guess you could, give him a little leeway.
Yeah, we'll look at it and go, maybe he got thrown to the wolves a little bit. Let's give him some time to acclimate. Obviously, like, he has that year under his belt now to kind of, he knows where he can improve. Yeah, we got to click on this guy. Jesus.
Oh. Yeah,
yikes!
A 52 in his rookie year and a 44 in his.
He went from 34th of 36 to 35th of 36. That's not very good. But then you go to the defense. I see a lot of green and a lot of
solid.
Well, because they brought in. All right, so they bring in Darnell Savage, 15th and 95. Yep, and he was
70 last year, 36 of 127.
Top 30%, just about. They bring in Eric Armstead, 16th of 130 in the D line.
Yep.
Big signing. Can you find? It would be where the linebackers are.
Just re-signed Josh Allen, who was 11th.
Yeah.
12.
Look at Travis Gibson, my guy. Bottom, fourth from bottom, 89.6. He is a free agent signing for them.
Yeah, that's big.
And I know it, like, not a ton of games, but I think they saw something talent-wise, because obviously he came from Chicago based on that picture, and Chicago, as we have stated many times, does not know what talent is if it punched them right in the dick. So Jacksonville,
he's a good, rotational guy. That's the thing.
Yeah, but you need that.
Trayvon Walker is the one that that's hard to swallow as the number one overall pick.
No, the homie needs to step up massively.
Yeah, that's rough. To be the number one pick and
in an entire draft.
Not only have a 53.9 grade in his sophomore year, but to get worse from his rookie year, which was already not great.
Yeah.
They're
very.
It's easy to cover up because you have Josh Allen, you have Aluakon. Aluakon's a fucking beast. Devin Lloyd, also beast. I mean,
even at safety, like if you go up a little bit, like rank wise, 13th, 15th, 34th. Like you got three guys in the top third, two of them are in the top 15. Like,
right.
You are like, their defense is legitimately good. It's not like, you can't even say it's average. Like, it's a good defense based on the play, like the personnel.
I mean, it was 18th last season, but that also is given with the fact that the offense couldn't move the fucking ball consistently enough.
Exactly. Like, you have your defense living on the field.
Yeah.
So they're dead. They're way more tired than they ever should be, ever. Exactly. And they were still in basically tied for the top half of points allowed. Because 17th, basically, you know what I mean? Because there's 32 teams. So they're right there. And then you bring in Darby, Savage, Gibson, and Armstead.
Right.
All that is an upgrade.
And Allen.
Exactly.
I think it was 4 years.
These are all good things. So yeah, they're going to compete because they're well coached and they have a good QB. Their defense is never they're never bad to a degree that they're going to lose you a game until the offense can't stay on the fucking field.
Right.
That's when you're going to have that issue rear its head. But all right, into the Tennessee Titans.
One team that had a lot of change.
Yeah, this team, Jesus Christ, coaching, everything.
I mean, you can even see on the right side, moved on. That's 4 people in the top 100 based on the PFF free agent rank. In Derrick Henry, Danico Autry, Azeez Al-Shaair, and Aaron Brewer. Obviously Derrick Henry being the biggest name out of that. And out of the guys they brought in, I mean, Calvin Ridley and Awuzie, like.
So here's
25th, 27th. Cushion
but here's
58th.
But here's the thing, right? So, and then you bring in Pollard at 56th.
Right.
Which actually, like, but here, go up to the top. Mm-hmm. So, like, you lose Aaron Brewer, your center, ranked 78. You bring in Cushenberry, ranked 58.
True.
Upgrade. And he's basically the same age, so you're just, like, plug and play. You lose Sean Murphy-Bunting, who is hot ass, and you bring in Chidobe Awuzie, who is not hot ass at all. Like, Awuzie, I mean, CB1 for the Bengals in, like, what, 2 straight conference championships, one of which that they won. So you're like, all right, that's a good player. Calvin Ridley being that rank, if he stays healthy.
Big if.
And because we have absolutely no fucking clue whatsoever that their quarterback situation is going to be. But the big one that's not on here for additions somehow is L'Jarius Sneed.
I think they just gave up updating the page at some point.
But, like, I look at their Our Lads thing, right? So I'll just, like, L'Jarius Sneed is instantly cornerback 1 on the right side. Yep. Awuzie is instantly cornerback 1 on the left. And then you bring in Kenneth Murray, who is, his FA rank is like shaky, but their inside linebackers as a whole are, as far as I remember, kind of not good. So, yeah. But then you get Sebastian Joseph Day on the defensive end, on the edge.
Yep.
Like, I mean, let's see, he was a 60.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because all right. See, but I get this though, because he's D-line, right? And for the Niners bread and butter was not the D-line; it was the edges.
Right.
So, like,
they were kind of rotating out the D-line
a lot, so, like, he'll probably get more snaps this time around. I like Jeffrey Simmons. I think he'll have a better year.
This guy's still there.
He will have a much better year than that this coming year. This guy keeps getting better.
Everyone talks about Arden Key. So, another guy.
Like this.
Harold Landry has been very average.
Yeah, those bars are. You could draw a straight line at the end of those, I think.
Exactly.
This is
the average.
this is who he is, and he's not going to change. And you better like it.
Kenneth Murray, you brought him up for a little bit. I really thought he was going to be better than this.
So did everybody, because he got picked 23rd overall.
Yeah.
Which, nope. His best year was his rookie year. That's not a good thing.
No, that's never a good thing. Jack
Higgins,
though, showed some promise in his second season, especially as an undrafted player.
Yeah, and that's a big jump from year 1 to year 2. Like, yeah. So that's a good sign. And then obviously Garrett Wallow, he didn't play as many snaps at LB.
Right.
Decent grade. Same with Otis Reese. Oh, he played the end of the season. Okay, so like same with Otis Reese too, though, because like he didn't play a lot of snaps, but that's a good grade across the board, pretty much.
Yeah, it looks like
same deal. Yeah. So you would for them, it's like let's see if they get more opportunities and if they can play at that level.
Right.
Obviously that would be like ideal. Can you click Awuzie for me?
I was gonna say McCreary's still there too.
I want to see his grades for. Okay, yeah. So last year was a down year.
Yeah.
But the Bengals year was a down year, so that's not surprising.
Their defense was living on the field too after.
Holy shit!
Went out. But yeah, Roger McCreary, big step up for his second season. So
yeah. So they have guys going in the right direction, but here's my fear: is you just went from Mike Vrabel, who is literally a defensive-minded coach.
True.
To I forget who the fuck they hired. I actually Brian Callahan.
Oh.
Who was with the Broncos before.
We have found the lowest graded tackle.
Holy frick. There he is.
Jalen Duncan, 81, 32.9 grade while taking 357 O-line snaps.
Woo!
Pass block grade of 29.2.
Holy shit. You cannot be 6'6", 306 and suck that much ass. That's not okay.
Oh, Lord. Probably why he only played 364 snaps.
This is interesting for the Titans, though. So they go from a guy like Vrabel, who was a linebacker in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
To Brian Callahan, who has been an offensive coordinator and offensive coach in the NFL. It's going to be a very different mindset for this team. So it's really tough to predict with a lot of things, because like quarterback is still, like we have no idea what's this Levis is going to do. No idea. Like,
yeah, no clue. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Mason Rudolph starts like halfway through the season.
To be honest, yeah. And then like defensively, you're going from a coach that really loves defense to a coach who really loves offense. So the defense may go down unless the coordinator he brought in is the right guy. So let me see if Titans defensive coordinator. Because he must have hired him by now. Denard Wilson.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. And who is Denard Wilson? Who are you, sir? What have you done? 12 years of coaching experience, 9 seasons as a DB coach. Okay. Well, that fits then, because you bring in Awuzie and Snead, and you already had a couple guys that you liked, so out on the outside at least, they should probably be okay.
Yeah. And on the offensive side, like obviously we talk about the quarterback issue there, but like I love Hopkins. Ridley is decent on the other side of Hopkins. Treylon Burks is still, don't know what exactly he's going to give you. I mean, he was ranked 118th of 128 receivers last year, so even Nick Westbrook-Akine was graded higher. And obviously the draft capital on Westbrook-Akine was not as high as Treylon Burks, because Westbrook wasn't even drafted.
Nope.
And Treylon was drafted 18th overall. So
Treylon got traded for A.J. Brown, basically, which is just the funniest shit that's ever happened, ever.
Very on brand for the Titans.
Absolutely. All right, are we ready? Are we ready for the best team that we're going to review all day?
The last thing I was going to say is I like Tajay Spears.
So do I.
I think they need to give him a little bit more opportunities, but obviously bringing in Tony Pollard's obviously going to be the number one. However, I think Tajay definitely deserves to get more snaps. And
100%.
I like Okonkwo too as a tight end. He's a solid tight end. But again, quarterback is the biggest issue.
Huge.
And now
the highest graded QB, their highest graded QB is literally Mason Rudolph. Like, that's not something you want to boast about. Yeah, this team right here, seriously.
To finish things off, a team that we talked about a lot last week because of the Stephon Diggs trade.
Yeah.
But
this team right here, dude.
Their top 3 receivers are all in the top 21.
Yep.
With Nico Collins being graded 3rd.
He was so fucking good. He's like, okay, so I mean, we'll go across it, right? So John Mechie comes back from like cancer, and injuries. So like first year he's not going to do much of anything crazy, but he still gives you a 57.8, which I know is not like, oh my god, amazing. His pass block grade is very good for a guy his size, though.
Oh, yeah. So
you have 5'11", you have your burner in Mechie, you have 2 huge outside receivers in Noah Brown and Nico Collins. 6'4" and 6'2", 215 each. Holy crap. And then you see what you have already and you go, what do we need? We need an all-rounder. And you trade for Stephon Diggs. And you have this app. Yeah, exactly. I know, like, this wide receiver room is insane. Insane. Probably top to bottom best wide receiver room in the NFL.
And you want a technical route runner who can just be a reliable ball catcher? Robert Woods.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. It's like You have Robert Woods, who is this just veteran of this game, who literally we've discussed him before, saying he's been good everywhere he's been. He's someone you'd love to have on your team. Just period, end of story. So now at his age, he can just be there as a mentor that is also playing well. Tank Dell is a monster. For a rookie to come in and play as well as he did is truly nuts. And then Nico Collins. Like, can you click on Nico? I want to see the jump, because the jump is, holy shit, bro.
72.4 grade last 2022 to 91.4 last.
All I'm seeing right there, you know what I'm seeing right there? With CJ Stroud, without CJ Stroud.
Very true.
But that's why I'm looking, like, I'll just say this once. This is
with CJ Stroud.
Yeah. This is the jump you could possibly expect for all the guys in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the same thing, but that's why, like, I'm glad these divisions were just doing South together and North together. Like, we're doing it that way.
I mean, they re-signed.
Look at the guard. Look at that guard. I don't give him more snaps. He doesn't need 10 snaps. He needs 1,000,000. Holy shit. Obviously, Houston will be offensive lining.
Yes.
In this draft, I think.
Not great. Juice Scruggs, really not great. Shaq Mason, decent. 23rd, 59 guards, 65 grade. Laramie Tunsil, obviously the best one by far.
Beast. He is a monster, and his grade is only that because everyone else around him sucks.
And I think partially is because he got hurt a little bit.
He missed week 2, 3, 4, 7, and then he played everything else, it looks like.
And then I think he got hurt in week 17, and they sat him down so that he wasn't hurt for the playoffs and everything.
Which thank God, because
he's the most important guy on the offensive line.
Okay, obviously. Actually, hold on. What is Houston's draft? They don't have a day one, I don't think.
Either, but they have a good amount of guys on defense that I like.
Yeah, same.
They brought in Al-Shaair from Tennessee. We were just talking about him.
I see one that's pissing me off. Sorry. Keep going.
I like Christian Harris. I also obviously like Will Anderson Jr., the defensive rookie of the year. Derek Barnett, another one.
That's the one that pisses me the fuck off.
That makes sense.
Couldn't stay on with the Eagles. He either couldn't stay on the field, was whining like a child, or something. He goes to Houston, and his career is instantly just revitalized. Which good for him, but fuck off. Thank you for strip sacking the show, getting the fumble back in the Super Bowl after Graham strip sacked Brady. Thank you, right. But good riddance now.
We have to talk about this guy because
this dude is a unit.
Daniel Hunter coming in to Houston is just amazing for them. That's huge.
Do you have the Our Lads thing open?
Yeah.
Because just bring that up. Because literally the amount of teal on this page is just it's so funny. Houston was Houston goes, all right, we went, what was their final record, 11-6?
I think so, yeah.
So you go 11-6 in a year, you were projected to go 5-12. Literally that was their projection.
10-7.
Okay. Which is you exceeded everybody's expectations by miles.
Yeah.
And you follow that up by getting Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon, Daniil Hunter, Danico Autry, Azeez Al-Shaair, Jeff Okudah, and they literally signed 7 backups on defense. You literally were just okay, we're going nuts. You won a division you weren't supposed to even compete in, and then you're going to follow that up by basically making sure that no one's going to be able to compete with you now.
And let's also be clear, they addressed their biggest weakness on offense, which was running back, by bringing in Joe Mixon.
Yeah. It's like you had one hole, and you filled it. And you have Dameon Pierce as a backup now.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Draft-wise, obviously, I know they don't have as much capital, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens there. But I'm
thinking Houston ends up 12-5.
That's I almost want to say that's basement for me. I think because that division just seems like it's so open in a way. Like, because you don't know what the Jags are going to do because their offensive line is rough.
I mean,
so
Tennessee and the Colts, I think, are 4 easy wins right there.
Yeah, I completely agree with that because the Houston's depth now, like, is just so obvious.
And they're at least getting 1 win from the Jags. So that's 6 wins in my head right there. And we're
like, they're good at
6 more wins outside of the division.
They're good at receiver. They're good at running back. They're good at quarterback. They're good at tight end. The offensive line is the one obvious thing that you should address.
Which I'm sure they will.
Like, you're well coached. Yeah. Your defense can clearly compete.
Derek Stingley is one of the top defensive backs now.
Yeah. But I look at this team, I'm like, it's the best all-around team we've talked about today. Which I think is like why we save them for last, because it's like...
We didn't even talk about Petrie, by the way.
I know.
And he's one of the top safeties.
This is just like, yeah, but that's what I mean. It's just like all these drafts in recent years, they've just been hitting and hitting and hitting. And then, like, what were the terms of that trade? Hold on. Deshaun Watson trade.
I just want to say Derek Stingley was ranked 9th of 127 cornerbacks. His rookie year, not this past year, but the year before, 49.1 grade. Last year, 82.1. Ridiculous.
Yeah, like this is just like nuts. It's actually nuts.
Yeah.
Like, they've re-signed guys that it absolutely, like, they need to keep. They've let guys go that don't fit what's happening here. Why can I never remember this dude's name? Oh, this is pissing me off because he's really... Yeah, D'Amico Ryans.
Oh, yeah.
The way he's going to coach this team, like, they are not going to lose. Like, you know what I mean?
I love his coaching style. I love what he does so far, and that was only his first year. It's only going to get better to me.
It is only going to get better. Like, they are... Yeah, the AFC South was like... It was open for about a year for the Colts to try and claim it, and then the Jags to try and claim it, because Tennessee had their chance when they had Tannehill performing at his best. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they had it, and they couldn't get further than they did. Yep. Houston just decided, we're changing the timeline here.
Yep, it's our time now.
we're swinging, we're hitting home runs with every single thing we do, and I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm thinking Houston, Jacksonville, Colts, Titans. That's how
I'll agree with that, and I think I'm gonna say 12-5 for Houston, maybe 13-4.
Okay.
And then I'll say the Jags' ceiling is 10 wins. I don't think they win more than 10. So I think Houston...
I think they go 9-8.
That's what I mean. Like, literally the max for me is like 10. Because I think Houston just easily wins this division. Like, from week 1. It's just obvious. But, all right. So next episode...
Yes.
We will be doing... Let's do you okay doing the North? The Northern?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
So we'll do the AFC, NFC North, and then obviously same way as this episode, all the random sprinkled in goodness. And it probably won't be Saturday again. It's probably going to be sooner because we want to get all these previews done before our draft podcast that we're going to do.
Yes.
So for anybody who listens to this on any of the services, we're going to have a draft follow along that will be streamed on YouTube. We'll just have the picks on a crawl on the bottom, and we're just going to try and make it as fun as possible. Exactly. So yeah,
that'll be a good one. So everyone, make sure you tune into that. Make sure you rate and review and share the podcast because that helps us out a lot as well. So thank you to everybody who does listen and does do that for us.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, we will catch everybody next week then. Peace.
Peace.